Hey guys!
How's it going?
Welcome back to another episode of Heart of Gratitude. I am Bethany Jordan.
And I'm Serena.
And today, guys, the last few weeks we've been saying how awful the weather is.
And it's so nice today.
It's nice today. It's sunny. It's making me... I was like putting on my really upbeat music playlist, and I'm just getting ready for the summer playlist I was talking about. And it was just I was playing it while driving and I was blasting, and the amount of times people probably see me just dancing alone in my car.
I love that.
And it's just at this point I don't care anymore. I'm going to enjoy my music, and I'm just there playing air drums.
Nice.
But the sun comes out. It's still a little chilly, but I was standing outside waiting for you, and I'm do I still wait? Do I still? I'm trying to inch in the door, and I'm no, I'm gonna wait. But yeah, tomorrow apparently is gonna be in the 60s.
Oh,
so
that's nice.
I know, a nice Easter weather.
Yeah, I have not figured out what I'm wearing. I have a vague idea.
Yeah,
but I think I'm just gonna do that pink giant sweater I have because it's warm. I don't have to wear a jacket with that, so I'm thinking I'll wear that and then figure out the rest.
And then everything else will just kind of
come after.
Close your eyes and be like that.
Or I might surprise myself and do a midi skirt moment.
Okay.
I do have a black one with flowers on it, so I'm that could work.
Yeah,
that could work.
That would be cute. But yeah, it's a long black dress, and I'm gonna put this denim vest over it.
Cute.
And then with my sneakers, and I'm I think that's cute.
Yeah,
I think it's an in look or whatever.
Sure,
it's trendy. And I watch pictures come out and be what was I thinking?
How do you feel about the denim tuxedo look? It's the vest and the jeans. Yeah.
Okay. I don't hate it. I don't think I'm into the denim on denim. I'm very into the denim vests right now.
Yeah.
I love that look. I'm kind of slowly getting into vests, and I want to start getting really funky looking vests to throw over shirts or whatever, and it really gives a little bit of a nice flair, I guess. I'm trying to an outfit. You could be wearing the most basic thing and then throw on a funky looking vest, and then you're good to go. But I only have a denim vest, and then I have a black vest. I need to get wild color vests and really definitely for the summer. But I don't know if I like the denim on denim. I see people wearing it and they do it well.
Yeah.
I don't think I could pull it off, though.
Yeah.
But I say that without trying. I have to just try it, And the last time I wore a denim vest to work, not a denim vest. It was the black vest I wore. I kept getting called what's his face from Star Wars? What's his face from Star Wars? Chewbacca's friend.
I haven't watched the movies. Yeah, I know.
You've not seen Star Wars?
I have not.
I mean, I'm not the biggest fan of Star Wars. I'm not really I'll sit down and watch it.
Yeah.
But you've never seen them?
Nope. And
I feel that's crazy.
I am always so lost in Hollywood studios. Always. When we go on rides and when we go to
I'm in space.
The whole Star Wars land there is an out-of-body experience. And I'm I don't know what any of this means.
Oh, that's right. They just did a whole new kind of Star Wars thing.
Yeah.
I haven't been there in a long time. But that's funny. I feel everybody has at least seen bits and pieces of it. Honestly, I don't it doesn't really fascinate me. I'm more of a, and it's funny because in my head there's Star Wars, there's Lord of the Rings, and then there's Indiana Jones. I feel those are the three, just sitting here with my hands just anyway, those are the three they're not trilogies, but series that I feel everyone follows. There's a huge following. I'm more of Lord of the Rings when it comes to that than Star Wars, for sure.
I'm gonna out myself again.
Serena, no!
I have seen Indiana Jones.
Okay.
I can get behind that. Lord of the Rings, I have no idea.
Serena!
I have no idea. I just know there's a Hobbit. And doesn't, like, the Hobbit have its own, like, thing? Isn't that its own book?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. That's as far as I can go.
Oh, man. We need to have a night.
Okay.
It's like a really long, you have to be invested in watching these movies.
I could be invested.
Yes. So we need to watch all of the Lord of the Rings series. I mean, I'm trying to think. Were you in school when we read Lord of the Rings?
No.
No, you weren't.
I feel like I just missed like all of the
good
staples.
Stuff. Yeah. Yeah. And also, Till We Have Faces, which is my favorite book, hands down. You missed that because I read as if you missed that.
Rip.
No, that was 7th grade. 8th grade, we started reading Lord of the Rings. So, yeah. And then after that, 9th grade you came in, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Man. So you didn't even read Lord of the Rings?
No.
I've been wanting to do a reread of Lord of the Rings, but there's a lot of books I want to do a reread of.
Yeah.
It's so frustrating.
Yeah.
And it's like, I always say this, it's just like, one day when I'm retired, I'll be able to read all the books my little heart desires. And that's, so if anybody knows me, they know that my biggest dream is to have a porch. Random,
Okay.
I
love
want
that.
a house with a porch. It would be nice if it was like a wraparound porch,
Yeah.
but like front porch,
Sure.
fine. I want some kind of a porch. And if you build me a porch, I will love you forever.
I do have to say, it's because we have like a little porch. It's nothing
Yeah,
crazy,
yeah.
but like when it's warm,
It's
like
nice,
warm,
yeah.
so nice.
I want to be that old person
Yes.
on the rocking chair,
Yes.
reading a book with my coffee on the porch, like,
It's not hard to ask.
and then also you have to build me a porch and then a mini library for myself.
Yeah.
Those are the only 2 things I require,
It's simple.
It's simple. But yeah, that's like the one thing,
Mm.
Gotta find someone who's willing to build me a porch.
Yeah. Porch and the library.
Porch and a library. Yup, those 2 things. I don't even know, man. But how did this conversation even start? We started talking about Star Wars?
Star Wars.
Why? Oh!
Because of the vest. The vest.
The vest, yeah. It was my coworkers, they were calling me, what's his name? Han Solo.
Oh.
Because I was wearing a vest. I'm like, you know what, guys? Relax. I'm like, and then I'm walking away and I'm like, don't let it get to you, Bethany. But no, I was laughing about it. But yeah, I'm kind of into the vest. But yeah, so
What an intro.
what an intro. No, yeah, I feel like I'm on like I'm hyped today. Like I'm very like upbeat. Like yeah, Easter's tomorrow. Like the sun's out.
Yeah.
Like I'm listening to like this like upbeat music, and I'm just like, today's been a good day.
Yeah.
You know what it was also? I got ready in time.
Yeah.
And so it's just like, wow, what a world, Like, I'm not rushing.
We were both ready on
Yeah.
time. We got here. We had a little tech issue, but I think that's
Yeah,
going to be a
so-
weekly endeavor.
We'll figure it out. As we go, we'll figure it out.
Sorry. I was going to text you this morning and let you know that I was in a silly mood today. And then I was like, I'm going to get my ears pierced today. I'm like, okay, spontaneous.
Yeah, man, no, I wish I wasn't working because I'd be like, you better go.
Yeah, no, I'm
Like,
going to go.
All right.
Today, we are going to be chatting. This is more of a chat one. This is questions that we've now struggled with.
Yeah,
And
when we started.
I thought this would be a good way to kind of round out the episode because we've been taking everybody else's questions.
Yeah.
So now we'll do our
Ours
questions.
that we had when we were first, studying
Trying
to
figure it out.
figure it out. Yeah. So what was, because we're going to talk about your
So we're going to do mine. So
question today.
I had a hard time of phrasing this one, but basically I've always struggled with how can I possibly have a testimony when I never really felt like I had a gigantic life change. Like, you always hear stories of people going through, like, they were drug addicts and then they found Christ, or they were, like, in an abusive relationship and then they found Christ. Like, there was never that gigantic moment for me. And not saying that, like, I was always, like, prim and proper or anything.
No,
but,
of course not.
I just was a kid and I was like, okay, church. And then that became, like, as I grew up, that became part of, like, what I knew. And I just felt like how can God use me and my story to make an impact on somebody that, you know, my story is not, like, crazy.
Yeah. No, I definitely, I had felt the same thing. And it's funny because I remember when you, like, read whatever, like, you write your testimony out and when you're going to get baptized. Like, I remember writing it out and it's just like, I don't have any crazy story, you know? I don't have, like you were saying, like, something major happened in my life that... Major in, like, physical terms, not talking about, like, because yourself, that is a major, you know, event that happens in one's life. But, like, nothing happened that there was this huge, like...
there was no catalyst, almost.
Yeah, exactly. And it's funny because that was something that I had thought of, too. And I would imagine a lot of people do have that, like, thought as well, like, I don't have, like, some insane story. But I heard someone say this, and I'm not, like, I don't know exactly how they said it, but it kind of sad, and I was like, that makes so much sense. It's just like, praise God you don't have that kind of a story, you know, that God had, you know, taken you, and that you didn't go through, like, let's say, an abusive relationship or, like, a drug addiction or, like, had gone down a path and hit rock bottom before finding Christ.
That's true. I never thought of it like that.
You know? And it's just, like, that's one thing that I was thinking of, like, you know, you see God's hand in my life even before I was saved. I was raised in a Christian household. I was raised, you know, in a very protected Christian circle, you know, and God used that to bring me to him. You know, he can use whatever is going on in your life. And I sit there and I'm just like, you know, thank you, God, that it didn't, you know, that I didn't go through something that even if I had, like, I will still obviously praise you for saving me. But that is something that I have changed my view on, where it's just like, how do I not have that crazy story? And instead it's just like, you know, thank you, God. You know, thank you that I don't have that kind of a testimony where it doesn't diminish your testimony. Right. It doesn't, and I mean, it's someone going through that doesn't diminish someone's testimony, because the act of salvation alone is an insane, you know, occurrence in someone's life. But I see it as a major blessing. And now, obviously, through our lives, we have gone through so many things where it's just like, even in the first episode, where it's just like, yeah, my testimony started off as, you know, not having much of a story, if you want to say it that way. But, like, through your life, you know, we kind of add on to it and kind of continue to see how Jesus has worked in our lives through the ups and the downs. But also, I saw someone say that I want to give, she was talking about, she just had a daughter, and she's like, I want to give my daughter a life where she has a boring testimony. And I'm like, that's a great way of looking at it. Like, you want to protect them, you want to bring them up in the way of the Lord, and you want to keep them from anything that'll, like, harm them, you know? And it's just like, yeah, I might have had, like, a boring testimony to begin with, where I don't have this crazy story, but that's such a blessing, you know, that God had given me this life and given me this family, and I grew up in the church and I was able to learn about him growing up.
Right.
And it's funny, I don't think I've ever mentioned this on the podcast, but the moment I was saved, it was like a weird moment. I was sitting on the couch.
Okay.
It was like, I don't know, it was late. And I was thinking, and I started thinking about hell. And when I was younger, I specifically remember having thoughts like, oh, my parents are saved. You know, I was getting into that kind of, my parents are saved, I'm clearly saved. I was getting into that mindset, you know? And I remember sitting on the couch and, like, I was just starting to think about hell. And for some reason, it was just like I understood that I was heading to hell. And it's been such a long time, but, like, I still remember my thought process where it was almost like, well, I'm headed to hell because, you know, growing up in the church, you hear it often, like, you can't do anything for your salvation kind of thing. Like, you can't get yourself. It's only through, you know, God, and, you know, it's only his sacrifice for us that allows us to have eternal life. And I remember having that moment and absolutely being, like, terrified. And I'm just like, I can't do anything. Like, that's what, I can't do anything to get myself out of hell. Yeah. You know, and just having that thought. And I remember going up to my mom and I remember telling her, like, I can't, like, do anything. Like, and I don't remember exactly, like, what we said to each other. But I remember, you know, going to my mom and telling her, like, I need him, you know, to, you know, obviously, you know, like, I need Jesus in a sense. Like I said, I don't remember exactly what we said to each other, but I remember those were my thoughts, and I remember my mom praying with me right then and there. And it was just like, right, I didn't have all the answers right then and there, you know. It was still very much like the understanding, obviously, through life kind of grew, but that moment will always, like, stick with me, where it was just like the realization that I am heading to hell and I can't do anything to stop it, you know? And so it's just like, it was the moment I had to just kind of, like, give over that, like, what can I do, and grab onto God's gift, you know, kind of thing. And I remember that very vividly. So it's just like, yeah, I didn't have a moment of where I was, like, you know, going through something crazy, but I still remember that moment so vividly. And yeah, so I find it, I used to be like, how can I be, like, I don't have a story, but it's a blessing, I think. And it should be viewed that way, that God protected you and kept you, you know, from anything that could have happened, and still brought you to him that way. And now, like, that person I saw is just like, when I have children or whatever, I want them to have the same boring testimony, you know?
Yeah, I think that makes sense. Like, I've never thought about it like that. Now I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. Like, we grew up in a Catholic household. So we went to church. From what I remember, it was semi-regularly. I don't really remember going every single week, but I do have memories of being there when it wasn't a holiday. So when it wasn't Easter, it wasn't Christmas, going to religion class. And I think I've talked about it on the pod, but I was always like, oh yeah, this is just like hangout time. Like, yeah, we're going to do a little Bible study, but I get to see my friends. Like, that's how I remember it. And same thing, like, my parents raised us, like, I mean, we weren't sheltered, like, we knew what was going on in the world, but at the same time, like, they made sure that we were safe and protected and loved and all that. And now looking back, I'm like, yeah, like, that was an awesome time to grow up. That was an awesome time to just be a kid. And then once I got saved, I was like, oh, like, this is really cool.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
this is where I want to be.
Yeah.
And it's only lately that I've had this, like, burden of being like, there are people that are going to hell.
Yeah.
And I need to, like, do something.
No,
I need to, like, share more. I need to do something. And I think that's also going to evolve into part of my testimony going forward, is just being like, well, so obviously we have social media. That's been a big thing. We have the podcast now, so that's even more of an, like, evangelism type of thing. But it's like, when you just show God's love, like, that's also your testimony.
Yeah.
And that's a big part of it.
Yeah, no, what you said about, like, the realization that people are headed to hell.
Yeah.
And there's this quote that I'm not going to be able to quote fully, but basically what the gist is that we should be, how did they say it? We should be, like, grabbing onto these people as they're, like, heading toward hell, like, almost pleading with them, like, please don't head that way. And I don't know the what word is that?
Quote.
I don't know the quote, like, fully or whatever, but basically the idea is just, like, we need to be going out there and telling people, like, hey, there is this way, and the way you're heading is not at all what you think, you know?
Right.
And that's loving, where people tend to be like, oh, you're just being judgmental. Let me live the way I want to live, and I only have this life to live once. And it's just like, no, exactly. This is the only life you will ever have, you know? This is the only, you know, there's only hope in this world, you know? There's only hope for you right now. After we die, there is no hope,
right?
You know? And so you need to really just sit with that and understand that the path you're leading, like, yeah, sure, sin is fun.
Yeah.
You know, it is made to look, you know, the way it's presented.
Right.
It's fun, but the thing is, after, it's not.
It's not.
You know, and it's not worth it. And so going out, the most loving thing I can tell someone is, hey, you're going down a path that you need to turn around. And we've talked about this, where it's just like in our Can Christians Have Fun episode, like, people are like, oh, that's such a boring life. And it's just like, no, like, you gotta look at the long term of it. Like, look at how much joy I have, you know, there is only that much joy. And that's the most loving thing you can tell someone who isn't saved, you know, that yes, Jesus, you know, he is love,
right?
But me loving you isn't going to be accepting of you walking down that path straight to hell.
Yeah.
And I feel like people get uncomfortable when, you know, those topics come up, where it's just like, yeah, if you're not saved, you are heading to hell. And people get uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And they're just like, oh, how can you say that to me? And it's just like, I just wish you understood. I wish you understood, because I am here, and I don't want to see you in hell. I'm not saying this to you because I'm making light, or I'm pointing a finger and being like, you're heading to hell. No, it's me trying to, like, show you how much I care. And I want you to just come to Christ, you know? And so, yeah, it's that's what love is, you know? It isn't just accepting. It isn't just being like, oh, you can be who you are. It's just like, no, please just see what you're doing that's heading you in the wrong direction.
Right. First of all, yes. I totally agree, especially, like, when part of our testimony is to show Christ's love to others. It's a tough love. It's not just like, like, love is great, but also, I love you and you're doing this wrong, and I'm telling you this because I love you. And it's hard. It's really hard and to show that kind of love.
It is because of the way the backlash you get, because people don't see that as love. People, like, understand love as just being accepting of who someone is. But that's not what love is. Right. Love is having those hard conversations. Love is being there for, one another and telling them, hey, this isn't right, and that's the most loving thing someone can do, instead of being like, you're good, you go do whatever you want. Right. Like, that's not love. If you think of it like in a parent and a child relationship, kind of, if your child's like out in the front playing, I've heard this example so many times, and they start running out into the street, you're not gonna just look at them and be like, oh, like, right, come back. Like, no, you're gonna grab them and you're gonna be like, you do not run into the street like that. So there is this like sense of, because of the love of the parent for that child, they are going to discipline them to keep them from running right into the middle of the street and possibly getting hit by a car. And so that's like the same thing, where it's just like, that's what love is. It's stopping someone and being like, hey, this isn't going to be pretty. Yeah. This isn't going to sound pretty. Right. We try to be gentle about it, of course. But like, sometimes gentle isn't the approach. Yeah. And so it's like the same thing with that like parent and that child. But like, love isn't always just like, rainbow butterflies, or right, whatever, right, know. Having a boring testimony, I'll take it. Yeah. I mean, now my testimony, I should probably.
As we grow, our testimonies change. Yeah, that's the beauty of
it. They grow with us, and all it does is point to how God is just there in your life, continually pulling you back, kind of like showing you, and it's just points to who God says he is, his character, and his love for us, that, we, in our own, like, stubborn, sinful, self, wants to do and go, and like we said, like, sin looks and sometimes feels fun, and that's why it's hard, that's why it's tempting, that's why, because our nature wants to go and do that. Right. But he's still there, and he's still like kind of like convicting, and he's still there guiding, and that's the importance of always being in communication with him, and communion with him, to keep us from wanting, or keep us from actually going down that path. And with your testimony, it does grow. It definitely does, but that's only more not ammunition, but more
fuel.
Yes, for when I talk to other people, where it's just like, I understand. Yeah. Trust me, I get it. It's fun. Trust me, I know. But the thing is, like, it's not in the end.
Yeah, and I think that's also part of the testimony itself, is the fact that we can be so relatable. Yeah. And people think, this is going to sound like kind of snobby, but it's not. People think their story is special, and we've all been through similar things. Yeah. And we can all relate. Yeah. But our testimony is what the special part is that links us back to the cross.
It's not our
it's God's story. We're the ones that are executing it.
Yes, I like that. Where it's just like, it shouldn't be pointing to us in any way. Sure. Our testimony is all pointing to, God and what he has done in our lives. And that's what makes it so special. Yeah. It's how God reached every individual that he has reached. And it's just like, everybody's story is different, The only thing that's the same is that God. Yeah. He's the one who did it. Yeah. And we all come to Christ in different ways, and it may be boring, and it may not have been so boring, but all I can say is that God, for whatever reason, is like, yes,
Yeah.
Like, you are mine.
Right.
And that's never going to change. And it's just like, that's the beauty of it. And so even though I might not, at first have had much to say, but the only thing that I can ever say is that he chose me for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
And so now I'm going to live my life, praising him, thanking him, and trying to tell other people, that this isn't the way you want to be going.
Yeah.
This is, well, that isn't the way you want to be going. This is the way you want to be going.
Absolutely.
But yeah. So, like, God can use anything.
Yeah.
Anything and everything, He used my Christian family, my Christian upbringing to bring me to him. And I thank God for that, you know, because it could have gone so different.
Love it. I think we can end it here.
I know. I'm thinking
nothing else.
We just kind of...
we covered everything.
Yeah. So next week, my question.
Yeah.
It's going to be I kind of touched on it in the first episode. But my question was, can I lose my salvation? Can I lose my salvation, and that tying to the unforgivable sin? That plagued me when I was first Christian.
We talked about that recently in, I think, Thursday nights. Not recently, maybe like a year or so ago.
Yeah.
But I remember that coming up because I had never heard of that before.
Yeah, I think I remember that. When I was a new Christian, that plagued me. That was what kept me up at night. Like, have I committed this unforgivable sin? Have I lost my salvation? And so we will talk about that next week.
I'm excited. That's a good one.
It's a deep one.
Well,
thank you guys for being here.
Yeah, thank you for watching.
This is always a great time. Yeah. This was, so one more question, and then we're going to switch up our topics, and then we'll have a vlog soon coming up,
so
coming your way. Well, thank you again for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.